Okay, hello. Um, so this is a project proposal that includes a number of partners. It's about the big multilingual terminological data space that we're going to introduce. So it includes Sapienza, as universities, Sapienza, the University of Luxembourg, Thessaloniki, and Salerno. And it includes 3 bodies of the EU, so the Publications Office, the Centre de Traduction Translation Center, and the European Parliament Term Court. So, and then it also includes industrial partners, so it has Tilde, Corion. So then, and sorry, I also forgot Cologne, the University of Cologne. So it's a big effort in working on at different levels. So working on focusing on domains, focusing on data, focusing on semantics. It's a big effort on trying to create a big data space that works at the terminological multilingual level. So. And one of key objective of this project proposal is to create a common ontology, so some common ground that one can use to integrate, align, and connect all these terminologies. And in order to do so, we foresee the creation of this common ontology, which will contain from general purpose to very domain-specific concepts. And we think that a good idea to do this would be to use as a pivot, as a starting point, BabelNet, in order to have a common ground at the multilingual level and enrich it with a lot of semantic information that will come from additional data sources. So as a starting point, BabelNet, including a Wikipedia, Wiktionary, WordNet, and so on, and featuring pictures, hundreds of millions of semantic relations, and a lot of content that can be used as a kind of basic semantic index to then interconnect the various other language resources. And actually, BabelNet is in the linguistic linked open data cloud. And it acts as a kind of bridge of this cloud, because you can see that it connects encyclopedic resources, which are mostly centered around DBpedia, to more dictionary-like resources like the Apertium RDF linguistic linked data sources, and also other linguistic resources, term bases, and so on. So it already acts as a bridge in the linguistic linked data cloud. So starting from this, we already started doing some work. And a case in point in providing this linking, this automatic linking between various term bases was YATE. YATE, as many of you know, is the EU's interinstitutional terminology database, which is also an acronym for Interactive Terminology for Europe. And initially, it was created from a number of legacy databases like Eurodicatom, TIS, Euroterms, and others. And starting from 2002, it was continuously enriched by human translators. And now a public version contains more than 8 million validated terms from many, many domains, more than 100 different domains in 24 languages. So it's a very rich resource. It contains a lot of validated terms, but it also, because of the various stages of the creation of this resource, would benefit considerably from the integration with large semantic resources like BabelNet. And so an early achievement of this proposal is to automatically and semantically link YATE to BabelNet. and doing so in a language and resource agnostic fashion. So the idea is that we don't provide a method for a single language, but we provide a general method that doesn't even need to know in which languages the information is expressed in YATE or in other resources. And also, it doesn't really rely necessarily on the structure of YATE. So it's used as a first use case, but actually it already, as a method, would enable to interlink other resources. And so ideally, what we wanted to achieve was, if possible, a perfect match. When this was possible, when this was available, like for example, Corylus maxima is a plant that is encoded both in YATE as an entry with various translations and in BabelNet. And so it might seem like an easy match because in this case the terminology is very specific and very unambiguous most of the time, but while for plants this might be kind of true, for many other terms, this is not as easy. So, and also it's not obvious that you're going to find exact matches because YATE contains much specialized terminology that is not available in any resource BabelNet is built from, like Wikipedia, Wiktionary, and so on. And so what to do in order to address these cases? We started to apply BabelFi, which is the joint multilingual entity linking and word-sense disambiguation system that we developed at Sapienza in order to disambiguate all the entries in the term base, in the YATE term base, and obtain some semantics, some explicit semantics, which already takes into account multilinguality, and also exploiting the language agnostic feature that enables us to input bags of words in any language all together at the same time. Like, for example, here we have an entry in YATE pomodoro di serra, which is the Italian for tomatoes grown under glass or greenhouse tomatoes, tomate de serre in French, for example. We don't have this entry in BabelNet because it's a very domain-specific term. But here in YATE, you have multiple translations. You have information from source information, and you can have much more. And so if you plug all this information into the disambiguation system, into BabelFi, what you get is, and you can do it yourself, you add all this information and you written in different languages, it doesn't really matter. You select agnostic as the language, so it means I don't know which languages you're going to use, and it could be multiple languages at the same time, and you BabelFi, you disambiguate. And what you get is links and rankings of concepts. And so you know, thanks to the usage of such a system, that tomato is a relevant concept. You don't have an exact match, but you have an idea of which concepts you want to link greenhouse tomato to. Okay, in this case, it's a tomato concept, the more general pomodoro or tomato concept in BabelNet. So now I'll leave the word to Rodolfo for the meta search engine and the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. So in the framework of this project, we want to create a big meta search engine that since we have a lot of terminology databases, and in the European Parliament, we have created a software that is open. You can find it on Term Code EU, the open website of the Terminology Coordination Unit of the European Parliament. This tool is called Glossary Links, and we monitor the web for all the glossaries that are published, evaluating them for their reliability. So we shall start with these glossary links to create a meta search engine to which we could then connect all big terminological databases of all the interinstitutional organizations. So retrieving the semantic connections between the various terminological resources and the matching entries is one of our goals. And the important objective is to be able to add to this new resources in any format, because this is always the big problem of a meta search. So today it is the day of the tomato. Also in the Microsoft presentation I noticed some tomatoes. So if we search for Pomodoro polposo, for example, you will have immediately in our meta search engine some proposals based of course on some filtering criteria. You will have the first ones. Already in the European Union we have such a meta search tool, but which is internal. It's called Quest, and our translators, when they translate, even in the CAT tool directly, they have through Quest the 10 best and more reliable solutions based on some criteria. So this is a kind of open Quest that we want to create with this project. So we also know that the cross-language search can help and be an effective means for accessing in the unstructured big data information in an unconventional but logical way. And we all know when we are surfing in internet and looking for different information and services, we have the problem of finding the terminology to understand them. So we made an experiment. What is if we go the opposite way? What is if we, through a terminological database, we search for a service in a multilingual space? And for example, you can find services in a single market or single space like the European Union. For example, in the labor market, if you are looking for a job, or for services for health, if you want to make, for example, an operation somewhere, and it depends where it is offered. It is linked also to if the insurance in one country covers it or not. So we have made this experiment. If you put a job description like cameriere in Italian, and the job description through the terminological database, for example, in Greek, which I suppose you don't know Greek, most of you, then you could find, using the right filtering criteria, a job as waiter in Greece, where now, because it is a single market and because we have a big crisis in Greece, my country, as you know, we are offering posts for people from whole Europe. So the conclusion is that our project wants to create a multilingual thematic meta search engine that can help the citizen to retrieve service information from unstructured multilingual big data and to bring together multilingual terminological resources, because this is the only way to disambiguate big data sets. Thank you very much.